Hello, today we're going to be finding the least common multiple. This is going to be a similar process to when we found the greatest common denominator, but remember that a multiple is when we multiply a number out. For example, the multiples of 2 would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. The multiples of 4, 4, 8, 12, 16, and so forth. So once again, it's when we multiply that number out. Today's essential question is, how do I use a graphic organizer to find the LCM, or the least common multiple? We will be comparing two numbers at least, and we will use a Venn diagram as a graphic organizer. Please pause the video to record your topic and essential question if you need to. You also need to put on page 42 your note page, and on page 41 you want to put your practice page. There's another page that I will have passed out to you, and it looks like this. It has a Venn diagram on it. It's very similar to what we did when we made our example for greatest common factor. So I'm going to fold this in half so that I can tape it into my book. And so there is my foldable. With this foldable, we are going to be listing the steps for finding a least common multiple, and we're going to be comparing the two numbers 12 and the number 10. So I also took my scissors and I cut so that I've got these little folds or flaps. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our little paper that is cut out and folded, and I'm going to tape it on each side so that it is in my book. Now it's time to start listing steps. So we are going to find the least common multiple of 12 and 10. So the first thing that we need to do is we are going to we're going to do factoring of both numbers. So work on factoring both numbers. Okay, so hopefully you set up your factor trees. So under here I'm going to do 12. So here's my little factor tree. Two numbers that can go into 12. Some examples would be 2 and 6. 2, remember we circle our prime numbers. This is a prime number, so I'm going to circle it. 6 is 2 and 3. So we're going to circle those numbers. So we're going to circle those because they are prime numbers as well. Okay. So then once we've done this one and we've gotten them all out to the prime factors, now we're going to go over to this side and we're going to do 10 the same way. We have 2 and 5, and both of those are prime numbers. So now we've got our 2. Now what I want to look at is the ones that are the same, and the ones that are different. So then I'm going to list only the factors of 12 on the left side. So over here, I notice that 2 is the same as 2. And that's it. That's the only one that's the same. So I can put 2 and 3 on this side because they don't repeat over here. So now that we've done it on this side, we're going to list only the factors of 10 on the right side. So we have 2 was repeated, but we have a 5, so we're going to put that over here. So now, what are we left with? Well, we had a 2 and a 3 that we've already taken away, and we have a 5 that we've taken away. So we're left with this 2 that they both share. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to list. So here's my steps. I apologize. You want to pause and go back so you can write that down. Apologize for not showing it on the video. So then the final thing is you're going to list the factors they share in the center. So in this case, it was that 2 that they share. So now that we've done that, what we're going to do now is we are going to end this all by multiplying all the sections together. Now, if you remember, this is very similar to when we did our greatest common factor piece. The difference here is that we are in greatest common factor, we multiplied what was in the center. In this case, we're going to multiply all the way across. So we're going to list our numbers. We have 2 times 3 times 2 times 5. So take a moment and multiply those straight across. Okay, so now that you've done that, hopefully you got 2 times 3, which is 6, and 6 times 2, which is 12, and 12 times 5, which is 60. So your least common multiple of 12 and 10 is 60. It's the number that if you multiply both numbers out, that they both match up with that is the same. Okay, so let's do some more practicing. Let's go over to page 41. And let's practice with 4 and 9. So we're going to start off by factoring. 4, 9. 4 can be divided by 2 and 2, both prime. 9 can be divided by 3 and 3, both prime. Well, is there anything they share? No, there's none that they share. They have 2 different ones on each side. So we'd have 2 and 2, 3 and 3. And you'll notice nothing is in the middle. I don't put a 0 there. I just leave it blank. So now let's multiply across. 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 3 is 36. Our LCM of 4 and 9 is 36. Now, when we do this, what you're going to find is this LCM is the same as the common denominator. So when if we were to have 2 fractions like 1/2 and 2/6, and we wanted to make that so we could add them, and we want to find the common denominator, our least common multiple is going to also be our common denominator. So in this case, our common denominator would be 6, because they both can go into 6, but 6 would be the smallest one. It's the smallest multiple. So 6 goes into 6 one time. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 goes into 6 3 times. 3 times 1 is 3. And now you can add them up. So this is a case in which you would use this method of finding the least common multiple to find the common denominator. So that's a way that you would use least common multiple in real life. It's the same as finding the common denominator. All right, so there's one more practice. On this one, you're going to find the common multiples, the least common multiples of 10 and 4. And notice it doesn't say the LCM. It says, what is the smallest number that 10 and 4 can go into? Well, the smallest number that 10 and 4 can go into is the LCM. So once again, you're going to factor. You're going to put your numbers into your Venn diagram. The ones that are just, or the factors that are just for 10 will go over here. The factors just for 4 will go over here. And any that they share will go right here in the middle. And then you multiply straight across, and you'll get your LCM. All right, I want you to try this on your own and have a fantastic day. Thank you.